This is a very different kind of Peugeot 5008, but one we think style-conscious family buyers may rather like. There's space for 7 and room to express yourself in a Gallic package that's distinctively different.
A family-sized 7-seat SUV isn't meant to be thrown about, but it should be capable of safe, high-speed handling if circumstances demand that. And if you want us to get right to it, that is what's been delivered here. Don't expect to particularly enjoy the back doubles on your way home from the school run, but if necessary, this 5008 will get you through them surprisingly quickly if your kids have made you late for your first appointment of the day. At the wheel, the unusual driving position of the iCockpit design does take a bit of getting used to, but it also encourages wrist flick direction changes, and that's aided by this Peugeot's relatively lightweight by class standards. The light, stiff EMP2 platform that provides for this has also allowed the engineers to give this car a supple ride, and that's only really upset by the sharpest urban potholes. At highway speeds, it's very composed indeed, and this, along with impressive refinement, makes the 5008 an exemplary long-distance tourer. As expected, this car shares all its power plants with the shorter but otherwise very similar 3008 SUV it's based on. So there's a range of BlueHDi diesels and a zesty 1.2-litre 3-cylinder PureTech petrol unit with the company's EAT6 6-speed auto gearbox, widely available as an option on most models. On the subject of auto transmission, you have to have that if you're one of the tiny minority of buyers who will opt for the older 1.6-litre THP 165 bhp turbo petrol engine that the brand has rather unnecessarily included in the lineup further up the range. We're impressed by the base 1.2-litre PureTech unit's balance of power and efficiency. It's capable of up to 55.4 mpg on the combined cycle and 117 grams per kilometre of CO2. Probably the lineup's best all-round choice, though, is the most modern of the diesel units, a 1.5-litre 130 bhp BlueHDi power plant. This gives you the frugality of the entry-level 100 brake horsepower 1.6-litre BlueHDi unit, but also most of the pulling power of the top 2-litre BlueHDi engine we're trying here. This flagship unit available with either 150 or 180 bhp. Unlike its rivals, Peugeot doesn't think the provision of any kind of four-wheel drive system is necessary with the mainstream versions of this car, but as an option, it does offer an advanced grip control system that helps you regain traction in slippery conditions. So, what differentiates an SUV like the second-generation 5008 model from the MPV it used to be? Well, in essence, the answer lies in the fact that all the hallmarks of the SUV genre are now present. Primarily the long horizontal bonnet, the vertical front face and the raised bodyline. The company is pushing its products up market, and here it really shows. Time to take a seat inside. Now, one of the things we liked most about this second generation 3008 model was the high quality of its interior. And since the dash in this car is lifted directly from that one, the same positive comments apply, with a major cabin talking point being the latest evolution of what Peugeot calls its iCockpit layout. Now, as in the brand's smaller models, this sees you looking at the instrument gauges over the top of the steering wheel rather than through it. But a key difference with this 5008 lies in its standard provision of this fully configurable and customizable 12.3-inch colour screen in place of the usual dials. Just about everything else you'll need to know can be found on what looks like a tablet PC attached to the fascia. This is a multifunction 8-inch colour touchscreen that deals with the stereo, phone and navigational functions, plus the ventilation too. It can also display your chosen settings for the iCockpit amplifier system that is standard on plusher models like this one. Now, via two settings, relax and boost, this setup offers a one-touch change to the things that you see, sense, smell and feel in your travelling environment. Time to take a seat in the middle row. Once inside, you will also appreciate the 165mm that's been added to the wheelbase of the 3008-derived EMP2 platform, something that's freed up very decent cabin length for knees and legs in this part of the car. And that's even before you start using the backwards and forwards sliding mechanism that's incorporated into the three individual chairs provided. So what's it going to be like in the third row? It's here that the 5008 benefits from Peugeot's decision not to engineer the EMP2 platform to accept four-wheel drive. Now that's not the case with most crossover rivals in this segment, and as a result cars like rival Skoda Kodiaq and Nissan X-Trail models sit third row occupants much higher and less comfortably. 6-foot folk who would be really cramped in those two competitors would be reasonably comfortable here, provided the journey wasn't too long and the middle row occupants didn't have their seats slid too far back. So finally, let's take a look in the boot. Once the hatch is raised, a huge aperture is revealed, and that's complete with a usefully low loading sill. So even when all three seating rows are upright like this, there's still space behind the rearmost seat backs for rather more than a couple of plastic shopping bags, 166 litres to be exact. Most of the time, of course, 5008 owners are probably going to be using their cars with these rearmost seats folded into the floor, and that's an action that's easy to complete, in which case there's 952 litres of storage space on offer, or up to 1,060 litres if you take out the rear seats altogether and store them in your garage. If you do need additional room and you want to push down the second row seat backs, then you'll release a vast 2,042 litre capacity, or 2,150 litres if you've removed those third row seats. So, how to sum it all up? Well, this is, like its 3008 stablemate, a very sophisticated kind of mid-sized SUV. It feels special in a way that no other car in this segment does, in a way that's uniquely Peugeot. And that's important, as this car undoubtedly will be for its brand.